Hi everybody. What a privilege to be sharing again today. We are talking about conflict management and the ability to be able to deal with conflict successfully, to be able to deal with those difficult circumstances, those difficult relationships, being such a necessity for us to be able to get to God's truth, God's promises, God's prophecies over our marriages, over our businesses, over our country. Isaiah 58 just paints this picture so amazingly well, that the ability to deal with conflict has got a promise to it and a process. The promise to it is Isaiah 58 in the Message translation says, "You will be known as those that can fix anything, any relationship, anything that seems irreparable to you today." But then the condition that it takes time, it takes a process. It takes a process of building, says Isaiah 58. That process of building, they explain in a way that conflict is essentially a door that you open, but it is a door that opens onto a tunnel of chaos. A tunnel of chaos that then leads to God's promises. And today we want to take a step further in the story of Genesis 34, the story of Jacob's family, Dinah, his daughter, going out into the city and getting into trouble, being raped in the city by Prince Sichem. Him coming back to Jacob to try to make amends. And in this terrible of circumstances, with a father's heart, Jacob looks up at the Prince of Sichem, and the Bible says in Genesis 34 that Jacob did nothing. Nothing. Jacob overcome by the spirit of fear. The spirit of fear not allowing him to open this door to conflict. How many relationships in your business environment, how many relationships in your family environment are lying in absolute tatters? Why? Because there's a spirit of fear that holds you back from mending those relationships. You see, dealing with a relationship that is in pain is very much dealing with the operation that you had. Recently I had an operation in my knee. Very quickly, that operation, the place where they cut muscle off, created scar tissue. Now that scar tissue is not there to heal. That scar tissue then calcifies and it makes the healing process even more difficult. Now just to give you a sense in the physical of what I mean in the spiritual, I was upgraded recently from the physiotherapist that hurt me to no end to the biokineticist that now I know new dimensions of pain. The biokineticist laid me down on my stomach, he took my operated knee and he picked my leg up to 90 degrees. And without any notice, he rammed my knee a few centimeters further, trying to manually break down the scar tissue. Now I shouted in angst. I said, "Ah!" He walked up to me and he said, "What did you say?" I said, "Eina." He said, No, you mustn't say Eina, you must say 1. And then came 2 and 3 up until 10. Broke down the scar tissue and my leg has now got the ability to move more freely. But that's what it's like sometimes, to come up into that spirit of fear, to know that it's a door that you have to open. You know that there's scar tissue that has been created around your relationship, a very broken relationship. And I want to encourage you today. I want to encourage you to use God's scripture, use the strength of His Spirit to deal with those conflict relationships, to garner that courage that is necessary to heal relationships, to restore relationships to the ultimate picture that God has created for them. How do you do it practically though? When you read through Proverbs gives us so many ideas and so many real ideas of how to deal with conflict. Proverbs 15 verse 2 in the New Living Translation says it so well. He says, "The words of the wise counter the foolish." The words of the wise counter the foolish. So how do you take God's words? How do you take wise words so that it sounds appealing to the person that you're dealing with. In the business environment, we know this concept called the crucial conversation. Now, a crucial conversation is one of those where the emotions are high, but also what is at stake is equally high. How difficult are those? It is so heated when you walk into that discussion, but you know that you have to open the door because what is at stake is so high. Now, for you, it might be a business relationship. For me, it was our offshore business in the Isle of Jersey and in the UK, where there's something that is troubling in that business. But God had a prophecy. God gave us a word over that business that He's going to use that business to facilitate capital flows out of South Africa to help individuals to save in a diversified manner, but also to assist us to get capital into Africa, what is required here. Now, there was a difficulty in that business because there was a relationship between a very senior person in our South African business and a senior person in our London business not being able to work together. I went there a few weeks ago to open the door to conflict and to facilitate a crucial conversation. This is how I did it. A crucial conversation is one where you pick up the courage, you set up a discussion with people, and you go through the following process, and maybe this will help you in your environment. The first step to the process is you ask for the consent of the individual across the table from you to have this discussion. You don't start off and just blow smoke and give them a hard time about things that are not working. You ask for consent to have the discussion. Now the person is emotionally committed to the discussion. And the second point, after asking for consent, still you don't start having a go at the person. You start only mentioning facts, mentioning very objective facts of things that have gone wrong, things that aren't working. The next step is still not having a go at your colleague or at your husband or at your wife. At this juncture, you ask the question of how these facts impacted on yourself. And only after that, you then invite the person to ask their questions and give you their perspectives. And then, guys, girls, you have to have the humility to shut your mouth and listen. It took a 3-hour conversation in London, but something was healed in a relationship, and something of a prophecy of an absolute truth about our business in London will now come to the fore and will become a reality. Having the crucial conversation takes channeling our courage through the door of conflict, through the spirit of fear, in order to be able to have difficult conversations where the emotions are high and also where what is at stake is high. I pray that we will, in this country, in our businesses and in our families, be able to have crucial conversations to heal our land, heal our marriages, and build our businesses to prosper.